Hey everyone, what is going on? It is K2 Investing here. My name is Karen, and I want to give you guys a portfolio performance on my 16.1K Dividend Robinhood portfolio. Last week I did a similar thing with 15.4K. I went into every single stock and ETF and gave you the very detailed rundown on its dividend information. This time around, I'm not going to go as in-depth because I haven't added any new stocks or ETFs. I don't want to keep this video as long as that one. So if you're interested in that information, I am going to leave the link below to that video so you can go ahead and check that out. But jumping right into my portfolio here, going across the charts on the day, up $300. Nice to see that green. On the week, red. The month is also green, nice to see because of this corona pandemic. And on the 3 month, you can see just how drastic that downtrend was, but we're starting to see some higher highs and higher lows. Same thing on the year. In the overall, at its highest, my account up $21,000, almost $600. At its worst, down below $14,000 and down 33%. This is why I enjoy dividend investing, because I can still earn money even during such a pullback in the market. So jumping right in, we have Ford here. I own 16.1 shares because I have fractional shares going on, so its dividends are reinvested in with a dividend yield of 12.12. Overall, I would consider Ford to be more of a swing trade option. It definitely has a downtrend going on, but this is another one that I've actually been using for day trading, and over the past week, I've been making about $1,000 a day, and I'm going to go more in depth to that at the end of this video if you're interested, so stay tuned. But again, I don't think Ford is a great long-term buy and hold, but it is something that you could utilize as a swing trade option. Next, we have Bank of America. This has a dividend yield of 3.45. I have 2 shares of it. I'm down quite a bit, 36%, but going across the charts overall, before this pandemic, it is definitely green, so the trend is your friend in this case, and I do plan on adding more positions to this particular stock. Next, we have Starbucks. I own 1 share, down about $10, dividend yield of 2.21, and also the same thing, going across the charts. This is a fantastic, in my opinion, stock to long-term buy and hold, and it does have a dividend, so that's nice. Next, SDIV, this is an ETF, and this one does pay out monthly as a dividend yield of 14.73. And I'm definitely be holding this and buying more into it because it does stay pretty steady, and because it pays out monthly, it's a great way to get dividends instead of waiting on that quarterly payout. Next is a Vanguard. This is also an ETF. Same thing. The charts look really good. The trend is your friend here. Dividend yield of 2.02, and I currently have 1 share of it. It's a little more expensive, but again, you can't really go wrong when it comes to this stock, or ETF, excuse me. Another Vanguard here. Same thing. Trend is your friend. I own 2 shares of this, and it's dividend yield of 1.81. I plan on holding onto this for the long term and adding more to my position. Maine. I feel like Maine is one of the most underrated stocks that are out there right now. I never hear much about it, but it does have a high dividend yield. It pays out monthly, and looking at the charts before the pandemic, it was definitely in your favor. So I am definitely going to be holding on to this for the long term and buying in more as we go. PSEC is another monthly paying dividend of 16.14. This one, the trend is a little different. I'm definitely going to be holding on to it now during the pandemic because it does pay out monthly, but there's a good chance that I might sell this when I end up making a profit off it. My average cost is 6.32, so there is a chance that it could go back to that amount. So when it gets to that point, I'll make that decision, but there's a good chance I'll be selling this one once I can sell in the green. KDP, Keurig, this is one that was actually something else, and it ended up merging into a new name, so I was really skeptical about this one, but overall, this has been a great stock. The trend is my friend here. I got 2 shares of this with a dividend yield of 2.28. Next is Delta. Same thing. On the long term, this has done pretty well. It definitely has its ups and downs, so you might even be able to use this as a good swing trade option if you really get those indicators and you find out when good entries and exit points are. I only have 1 share of this, but with a dividend yield of 5.99, I do plan on adding more to my position. DMP, Select Income Fund. I don't really know too much about this. Again, research is extremely important. I only have 1 share of it as a dividend yield of 7.49. But overall, the trend has been pretty good. It looks red now because of the massive pullback, but as you can see, it has consistently risen over the last 5 years. So there's a good chance I'm going to keep holding and adding to this position. Next is United Bank shares. 1 share of this, dividend yield of 5.93. Same thing, this one is very consistent when it comes to its pay, and it does have a nice dividend yield, so I do plan on holding this. I'm a little undecided if I'm going to sell it or not, but for now I'm holding it, and there's a good chance that I will buy in and buy more and add to my position. Next is Universal Holding. It has a dividend yield of 7.34. I own 10 shares of this. And on the 5-year chart, same thing, very up and down. This is probably a great one for swing trading, but it does have a downtrend going on. So right now I am holding it. I'm probably going to try to buy some more, but there is a good chance in the future when everything goes back to normal, and I might be selling out of this to get into something different. Genuine Parts, this is a pretty big company. I own 5 shares of this, 4.45 dividend yield, and overall it has a pretty good trend. So I do plan on holding onto this and buying more to add to that dividend income that I get every 3 months. Disney, I only own 1 share of this. It has a dividend yield of 1.74, but overall in the charts it looks pretty good. It's definitely in the green when it comes down to it over the last 5 years, so I'm definitely going to be holding this for the long term because I feel like Disney is one of those companies that's going to be around for a very long time. Johnson & Johnson, one of my favorite stocks to have. Unfortunately, I only own 2, but even in this pandemic, I'm still up $33, and it has a dividend yield of 2.74. On the charts, looking at the long term, consistently green. Does have its dips with the regular market downtrends, but for the most part, Johnson & Johnson is a huge company when it comes to babies, and there's always going to be babies, so I'm definitely going to hold on to this and keep adding to this position. 3M, this was definitely one of those stocks that I bought without knowing what I was getting into. I didn't do my proper research, so as you can see, trend is not your friend in this situation. I have 13 shares. That's mostly me trying to average down so I can get it to a good point to sell it. It does have a pretty good dividend yield, and it does pay out its dividends the last 50 years, so it is very consistent with its dividends, but once it becomes green for me, I think I'm going to sell this one and get out of it. It's too much of a headache if you look at this trend. Next is Procter Gamble. I have 1 share of this. It has a dividend yield of 2.78. And overall, I plan on adding to this position. As you can see, very green. Even with that pullback, it's still staying green over the last 5 years. So this is a great long-term buy and hold. Another Vanguard here. Really, you can't go wrong with Vanguards. I got 1 share of it, 3.66 over the last 5 years. As you can see, green. I do plan on holding and adding to this position. This is Activision, 1 share. Small dividend of 0.56, but this is definitely one of those companies that was able to hold on through the pandemic. As you can see, one of my few that is still in the green, up $20. And over the last 5 years, trend is my friend. I do plan on holding onto this and continuing to add to my position. This is Kohls. This is another one that I don't want to say I regret buying because you learn from every trade that you make. I got 30 shares of this. It has a really high dividend yield. That's why I got into it in the first place. But if you look at the charts, not consistent, and it's definitely have a downtrend even before the pandemic hit. So again, I'm going to try to hold on to this, add to my position so I can bring that average cost down and hopefully sell when things start going back to normal. McDonald's, one that everyone knows. I got 1 share. It is down right now, has a decent dividend of 2.85, and across the charts, very green. So I do plan on holding onto this one and buying more. Next is a small cap ETF, 1 share, dividend yield of 4.29. Across the charts, this one does show growth, and it did get hit by that pullback, but this one I do plan on holding. I'm probably going to end up buying more, but I don't know enough about this ETF. This is another one that I just kind of bought because of the dividend. Again, it's something that I have to figure out when this pandemic is over. General Motors, another big company. I own 50 shares of this. Has a decent dividend yield of 6.92. Overall, the chart looks a little bit of a downtrend, but it consistently stays about the same, and because of its good dividend yield, I'm going to continue to hold this and probably buy in more. LTC Properties, dividend yield is 7.08. I own 1 share of this. This is one that is pretty decent when it comes to the chart. Usually stays up, but it was definitely hit by this corona pandemic. So again, I do plan on adding more to the position because it has been a reliable dividend income source for me. GWRS, Global Water. This was one that I got into because it does pay out monthly. I don't know much about the company. Again, important to do your research. Dividend yield of 2.85, but overall in the charts, it's very green. It is a fairly new, as you can tell, because it doesn't go all the way back 5 years, but this one I am planning on holding for now and adding more to my position, and we'll see what it does in the future. This is Dominion Energy, own 1 share, dividend yield of 4.72. The chart looks good, nice and green. Did have a pretty big pullback, but I do plan on holding this and adding more to my position for the time being. UPS, I own 1 share. It has a dividend yield of 4.41. And overall, pretty up and down stock. Again, this could be one that might be interested in swing trading, but I do plan on holding this and adding more to my position. This is an ETF. I own 2 shares of it. A dividend yield of 2.03. And overall, this one follows the market for the S&P 500. So, of course, in the last 5 years, we had quite a bullish market, which is why it's very green. But you can see it had that pullback, but it's still green for the overall, which is nice to see. I do plan on holding onto this and adding more to my position. Next is Apple, another one that everyone should know. 1 share, dividend yield of 1.06, one of the few that is in the positive when it comes to my overall holding. And on the 5-year chart, definitely going up. This is a big growing company, so I do plan on holding this and adding more to my position. Another Vanguard ETF, own 1 share, 2.33. Looking at the charts, very green. Again, Vanguards, you can't really go wrong for the long-term buy and hold. Here's another ETF. I own 2 shares of it, dividend yield of 2.24. On the 5-year chart, very green. Another one I plan on holding and buying more. Microsoft, big company that most of us know. 1 share, one of the few, again, in the green, dividend yield of 1.13. Overall, the 5 years definitely showing all that growth, so I plan on holding this and buying more for the long term. And the last one, another Vanguard, 2 shares of it, 3.72. On the 5-year, a little up and down for an ETF, but again, you can't really go wrong with any Vanguard, so I am going to hold and add more to my position. So guys, I just wanted to give you a very quick video on an overall update on my Robinhood portfolio sitting at 16.1. I didn't go as in depth, but I'm going to leave that video in the description so that you guys can actually go in and see exactly how the dividends are broken down for every single stock that I'm holding. I do plan on here in the future doing a video of my entire watch list so you can see why I'm watching it, why I'm looking at it, and if you're interested in that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that video. If you like this, please hit that thumbs up. If you want to share this with your friends, go ahead and share it. And like I said in the beginning of the video, when I was day trading this week and practicing on my paper trading account with Webull, I use mostly Ford, but I want to jump in and show you exactly how much I made. Clicking on the middle icon, go to More, down to Paper Trading. This is my account. So every week I start off fresh with $50,000. I do not usually take a position any bigger than $30,000, but as you can see, up for the week, over $4,332. I made on Friday $1,260. I averaged about $1,000 a day. There was one day, Wednesday, I was at work and I was unable to trade as much as I would like to and sit in front of my computer, so I didn't make as much, which is why that total is about $4,000, but still very good overall. And I'm going to leave a link down in the description of a video of exactly the strategy I use for my entries and exits when I'm paper trading. So if you're interested, please click that down below. Guys, if you have any questions, any advice, anything, please put that down in the comments, and I try to respond to everybody as soon as I can. But as always, I hope you guys stay green, you stay classy, and you make your moves with kinetic knowledge. Take it easy.